Hey, what's up, WCReplays.com? This is Orange doing yet another audio commentary. Oh, get the replay paused at the 45-second mark under colorful.lyc. It's point of view. So, Night Elf versus Undead. As the Night Elf, you pretty much have a fairly versatile pick from your hero range and, I guess, limited to your strategy range. Your hero can range from Beastmaster, Dark Ranger, Demon Hunter, and Warden. Generally, you can pick other heroes as well, like Priestess of the Moon. Do a Strife Coast strategy, and mass up some hunts that way. Turn on Cecil, make him orgasm or something. As Undead, you're fairly limited to your hero selection. You kind of have to stick to the general strategy of Death Knight and the Lich. And your unit strategy can actually vary up fairly well. You can go with something like a Mass Guard, perhaps, the Ghoul Guard. You can go Ghouls A-Bombs to Meat Wagons with the A-Bombs. Sometimes you can go Fiends to Destroyers. It really all depends on your playstyle on the map. Generally, Trying Stand is kind of a ghoul map just because it makes it really easier for you to creep, just because there's so many creeps with medium armor. Like, the first two camps that are right above the Undead's base right now. The one below it also has a lot of medium armor. Also, the ones at the middle have a fair amount of medium armor. And you can pretty much creep the green expansion points with like 6 ghouls and no hero. So it's pretty easy for you to harass and ghoul creep without being too concerned. My best advice for if you're going to do the ghoul creeping is just to get some cannibalism, and every time you're just like right-click your hero somewhere to get it out of trouble. You just select your ghouls and cannibalize. Eat some dead stuff. Let's get the replay on pause since you guys should be there. Alright, so on pause in 3, 2, 1, on pause. Alright, so you'll notice Colorful LYC is doing a tavern build. This kind of restricts you to not being able to do, the Ancient of War creeping at the Goblin Laboratory. And it also restricts the Undead, because if you're going a tavern hero, generally you're going to get like a summoner. So you're really not going to be able to ghoul rush them as the Undead player. And Tyrannostand is a fairly decent map to be ghoul rushing on. So that's one thing you want to scout when you're actually scouting the Undead's base, is how many... Wow, I have orange stuff on my arm. That's really odd of me to notice that now. What is it? Oh. I have no idea what that is. Alright, it's probably Cheesy Puffs or something. Anyways, but yeah, the one thing to note when you're scouting the Undead player is that you really have to make sure you know what they're doing and what their base build is. Generally, by their base build, you can tell what they're going. Ugh, I am so distracted right now. This is going to make for a wonderful audio commentary. Alright, so he is scouting with his Wisp. As the Undead, you generally want to do the basic... Use ziggurats in front of the gold mine type thing, so you just want to protect your acolytes. If they do go Warden or something, you're kind of a little more screwed than you think you are with your acolytes, because level 2 Shadow Strike can actually kill an acolyte, so, when you walk in there, you really have to be careful that, or not, as the Night Elf, you don't really have to be careful. As the Undead, you really have to be careful that they don't just walk in and kill all your crap while you're out creeping, because they can always do that stupid Potion of Invulnerability crap, blink to your acolytes or something, but generally people don't go blink. Only I go blink. Maybe I'm just weird. But yeah, I like to go blink and then do some acolyte harassment and just make sure that their resources are really, really screwed up. So some nice Undead harassment, except not really because he hasn't really done anything productive. The one thing that I find concerning is that a lot of Undead players don't really micro their skeletons. Like, they walk in, they use the Rod of Necromancy, and they walk out, and you're like, okay, like, 32 free experience for me. You haven't really done much damage to me, because the regen can cover it. So, as you'll notice, the Scout Wisp is actually kind of getting away. And really, really nice Dispel right there. Like, that had to be luck or something. Either that or they're on a LAN and their computer doesn't suck ass like mine. So, as an Undead player, if you're going to harass, the one thing that you can do if you can't find them is just kind of like walk towards their Ancient of War, which you have scouted because, you sent an Acolyte and your Gosu. But yeah, the one thing you really want to do is just if you can't find them, walk towards their Ancient of War, and generally you'll see an archer running, and you can pretty much creep the crap out of that. So really nice cancel to save his Wisp. I don't know why he built an Ancient of Wonders, but it was kind of it was kind of weird just to build it and then cancel it and then dispel the skeletons. It would have been more productive and more resource efficient to just dispel it, but whatevs. So Undead is pretty much doing the normal crap, which is creeping with their ghouls. One thing that he is doing, which is fairly smart, is he's creeping out the other player's crap. So basically everything that's near his base just gets crept out. And generally, this is the one thing that you want to do as an Undead. You don't really want to creep towards your base, because you want to save that for later on. When you're harassing them with, their gargoyles, one thing that they can do is just kind of sneak out and creep off a couple camps. And if they're right next to their base, they can pretty much do it easily, run back to their base, make sure everything's safe, and gank a whole bunch of your gargoyles that way. But, if you creep out the crap around their base, they're not going to be able to gain any kind of advantage from, the gargoyle harassment other than... Jesus, what am I thinking? Night Elf doesn't gain any advantage from gargoyle harassment, but you know what I mean, they don't get any experience, so... Hero levels are less of a worry. Yeah. One thing that is kind of odd is that the Night Elf is still at Tier 1, and he is going to be losing a buttload of Wisps just because of how they're positioned. Generally, you want to position, your gold mine or your oh god, I can't talk right now. Your moonwells in front of your gold or your Wisps, just because that way, you can actually save your Wisps before they die. And a beautiful thing that he's doing right now is he's actually going in for the Acolyte kills, which is perfect because Acolytes are a lot more valuable than, Wisps, because you still have the gold income and you can always just buy a Shredder if you really need it. Acolytes you actually have to build and cancel your tech. The one problem is his expo's kind of going down, which is a bad thing. No bueno. But yeah, he's doing a really good job of killing off a whole bunch of those Acolytes, and such is life with the Dark Ranger. Every time you lose a unit, it's even less in your favor. So you really have to be careful when they walk into your base with the Dark Ranger. Generally, this isn't that popular of a strategy, especially because of how hard an Undead base is to get in and out of. And you'll notice how much crap he loses just by doing this. So he's already lost like 4 archers, and especially that Spirit Tower is dealing booty loads of damage. So you really have to be confident that you're going to be able to pull this off as the Night Elf player. And as the Undead player, you just kind of have to be careful not to lose too many Acolytes and kind of run them in and out of your Ziggurats and such. So he's lost all of his Acolytes. I'm surprised he's not building them back already. I mean, Undead is kind of imbalanced like that. Even if your hull is kind of dying, you can just use that to get out of it. Because it still attacks, that's what I mean. Now, a smart thing that he could be doing right now is using his Potion of Invulnerability and getting the hell out of there. But instead he uses the TP. I don't know why he used the TP. It's kind of a waste of 350 gold. But I guess that's my opinion. I'm not pro, so whatevs. So, a little late on setting up the Huntress Hall. You kind of want to set that up halfway on your way to Tier 2, as opposed to near the end. But, when you're harassing, and you really have to be careful. So yeah, as I said, he's lost pretty much everything. And the great thing about Dark Minions is they do so much damage and they have fast move speed. So they kind of add to the synergy of your army and the fact that you can actually get away from things. And generally with Dark Ranger you end up going with a ranged army anyways. Or you end up going bears. I know that kind of sounded stupid. It made sense in my head. But yeah, usually you don't get bears until really later game. So, good thing to remember. Also, now he's hit Tier 2. This is pretty much a critical point of the game, especially because the Undead is kind of at a downhill point, and the Night Elf already has an expansion going up. As the Undead player, the best thing to do is kind of pressure them, because the one thing that you do have the ability to do is snipe off a whole bunch of units individually with the Demon Hunter. What the hell am I talking about? The Death Knight. And almost a really nice surround. Wish I could do that. But yeah, the one thing that you want to do is you want to use your Lich and your Death Knight to pick off a whole bunch of those archers. They really aren't that sturdy, and they're pretty easy to take down, so taking a bunch of those down is really good in your favor.